Today, my guest is former WWE developmental talent, NXT star, the Super Diva, Quincy Elliott. Quincy, how are you?
I'm doing great. How's you?
Good, can't complain. Thank you for taking the time out to do this, and I'm ready to talk a little bit about your career.
Of course, thank you.
So, what made you want to get into professional wrestling? What was it that drew you to the sport?
Honestly, so when I was a kid, like my mother was into pro wrestling. So before I even have any memories of life, my world was pro wrestling, you know?
Hmm.
So, from ages probably 1 till now, wrestling was my everything. I would watch Raw, SmackDown, TNA because I was on at the time. Pretty much anything I can. It kind of became, my obsession that I didn't grow out of, unfortunately.
At what age did you decide that this was something that you were going to pursue?
Honestly, serious age that I decided 12,
Hmm.
but I've always dreamed of doing it.
So was professional wrestling available to you where you're from?
Yes. I actually, sorry about that. I actually
You're
went
from.
to a wrestling school. Um, I started at the age of 16.
So was it everything you thought it would be?
Yeah, much tougher. You know, the business is much tougher than it may seem. The
Hmm.
athleticism, the mental struggles you have to deal with on top of physical struggles. It's not easy, but I started very young, so I was able to be coached and put in the right situations and understand that you kind of have to grow with wrestling a little
Hmm.
bit.
Where did you first start training at?
I started training at the School of Hard Knocks in San Bernardino, California. My trainer was Jesse Hernandez.
So how was that experience?
So I started very, very young, as I said. So I was just a kid with a dream. That seems ridiculous to the average,
Hmm.
uh, you know, person, but it was very tough, but also very humbling. Starting out on the indies like that, you have to um, you have to work really hard.
Hmm.
Wrestle for little to no money. And at the time, I was a kid, so I was still in school. So when I would be done with school on the weekends, my mother would drive me to wrestling school, and then that was pretty much my weekend until I started wrestling.
When you started wrestling, did you just stay in that area, or when did you start to branch out?
So around 2019, I just started going and doing any show that I could really.
Hmm.
So I traveled to Mexico at the time, Portland. I was in Arizona, Vegas. So I was just, putting the miles on my body um, to get this thing running.
Hmm. During all this, when did you decide that WWE was something that you were going to pursue?
When I really got serious about WWE and making it in pro wrestling, I would say around 2019. I was 19 years old. I wasn't in college. I didn't have a backup plan, so I was like, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get as far as I can in this business, and that's really when I started really getting serious about it.
Hmm. How did that all come about? Did you reach out to them? Did they invite you?
So I want to say through the grace of God, I was lucky because in 2021, WWE put out an article that they were looking for younger urban uh, people to try out for them. And my friend sent me the link to it, and he was like, "Oh, bro, you should sign up for this." And I'm like, "Oh man, all right, I'll do it." But they're not gonna call me back. And I fortunate enough, I got the email to try out in Vegas during SummerSlam that weekend.
Hmm.
And at the time, I was on a flight going to New York for a show, and I missed the email, and um, I almost didn't. I almost didn't get the tryout because I missed the email by 3 weeks. And one day, I was with my friend. He's like, "Hey, have you ever checked that email? Checked your email?" And then I saw it, and I was like, "Wow!" So, and then I ended up trying out in Vegas.
So how was that tryout experience?
Oh man, that was it's something I'll never forget. One of
Hmm.
the most mentally challenging and physically challenging things I've ever done. but I don't regret any second of it. I was in a unique situation. I would say I was in a
Hmm.
unique situation because I was trying out at a time where they weren't looking necessarily for pro wrestlers.
Hmm.
They were looking for athletes and people of that background. But fortunate enough to due to my charisma at the time, I was able to spark their interest.
How long was that tryout? Was it just a day, or was it a couple of days?
So for me, I was in a unique situation because the initial tryout was 3 days.
Hmm.
The initial tryout was 3 days. Doing the drills, doing the promos, but on I believe day two we had promos,
Hmm.
and I showed up and I showed out and I presented myself really well, and I sparked the interest of Triple H at the time and all of the coaches. But at the end of the tryout that weekend, they offered everyone jobs that day.
Hmm.
So everyone got offered a job that they had interest in, but they didn't sign me initially. They offered me a deal to come down to the performance center and do an extended tryout, which at the time was never heard of. So I moved to I was in Florida for a month,
Hmm.
not signed under WWE. They put me up, had me well, and I was training at the performance center every day, like if I was already working there.
Hmm.
And then I really showed up, worked hard, bust my butt, and they signed me.
Was it just something to where like they were trying to see if this is what you truly wanted? Like they wanted to push you as far as they could?
Yes, and
Yeah.
see if I was gonna be serious about getting in the best shape that I can. See if I was gonna be serious about the opportunity. And I showed up and I showed out, man. I really showed them that I had heart.
Hmm. So after a month, then they offered you the developmental deal.
Yeah, man. They sent me back home because I'm in California. They sent me back home for 2 weeks and then and offered me the job. And it was like, hey, by the way, you have to move here in 2 weeks. So I had to figure out life in Florida in 2 weeks.
They could have
Insane
just,
time.
yeah, they could have just told you why you were down there, but no, let's make it difficult.
Yeah, I was like, all right, man. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
So, what was that feeling like? You finally get a developmental contract with WWE.
Man, honestly, at the time, my mom was braiding my hair when they
Hmm.
called me, and I was just like, wow, because at the time I was only wrestling independently for 3 years, and I'm just like, I thought this would take much longer because a
Hmm.
lot of people put many years on the indies, so it was a blessing, honestly, and it was great timing. I came at a great time when they were looking for people that were younger that they can develop. So
Hmm. So, how was that initial training when you first got there? Walking in, you'd already been there for a couple of weeks previously, but now you're a contracted talent. Was there any difference with the drills and stuff they were doing, or was it?
it was honestly, every day's challenging. There is a different day, but for me, at the start of it, I feel like it was very difficult to get their attention. You
Hmm.
know, I think they didn't really understand me or what I was trying to go for, and they just wanted to push me and see how hard I was going to work. So I was like, I'm going to show them. At the time, I lost about 60 pounds.
Hmm.
I was just putting in work, man. Every day grinding out at the performance center, just doing promos, trying to stand out, try to show them that I'm here. I'm here for the long run. I'm not playing with this opportunity, and I ended up doing pretty well there at first.
Would you say there's a massive amount of talent that's there? Do you feel like there's enough coaches to be like, really focus and develop everybody that's signed at the time?
That's a great question. I personally feel like I had a great connection with the people that coached me,
Hmm.
you know, but I feel like for some of the younger athletes that necessarily don't understand the pro wrestling world,
Hmm.
it's kind of hard for some people to like get it, because like the only way you really get wrestling is by doing it, and put time in. You have to put years into this and like be passionate about it. So I feel like there's great coaches, but sometimes it's hard for certain people to advance at a certain pace,
Hmm.
you know.
Is there any coaches in particular that you worked with more than others?
AJ Winkler, who's a coach there, Oni Lorkin, Johnny Moss. I worked with pretty much everyone. Matt Bloom, who's the head coach there, definitely helped me out a lot. Um, Everyone was great, but I feel like for myself personally, AJ Winkler really helped me out a lot. He's a great dude down there. Um, and it's everyone has different goals in wrestling.
Hmm.
Everyone wants different things. Me personally, I was trying to figure out how to blend character into presentation and
Hmm.
wrestling all in one. So I was trying to learn as much knowledge from everyone that I can really.
Now, how long during your training did you start to maybe pitch or develop who you wanted to be?
Pretty early, honestly.
Hmm.
I would say so. I signed with WB in November. I was there in September. They kind of had an idea of my charisma and things I wanted to do, but the actual character that I presented on TV, I want to say I around maybe my second match in WWE on
Hmm.
Level Up, I they kind of started to see like okay like this is a character here like it stands out. So I would be saying showing creative different things, and it just kind of happened with time.
Now, is that a difficult process when you're pitching to creative? Because
Yes, man.
you've got a vision in your head and you're like trying to pitch it, and they're just like, I don't
Yes,
get it.
and I mean they have jobs to do like everyone else. So I'm not here to judge, but like it's very hard, especially when you have no stock in the company and you
Hmm.
don't have like it's hard to really get them to understand it. They kind of
Hmm.
have to just see it.
Hmm. Absolutely. So, doing the, how long were you training before you were on TV in the performance center?
On TV for an actual. I had segments and things I was
Hmm.
involved in, but training, I would say 2 months, 2 to 3. No, I don't remember when my level up match was. I think 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. And then I had my first match on TV, which was just insane to me. You know, like 3 months. I
Hmm.
already had experience prior before, but like they were pushing
Hmm.
young people on the TV at the time and just seeing if it worked and if it worked or not. And if they failed, it just happened. So.
Just a nerve wracking. Was that nerve wracking experience?
Yeah, it was nerve wracking, but for me, the thing that really helped me out, man, was the live audience.
Hmm.
The live audience just really got behind what I was doing at the time because I guess it was just different and intriguing to them. So that live audience, the reactions they would give me, I'm so grateful for it because it showed the company like, oh man, maybe we have something here.
Hmm. So as time went on, did you was there any plans for you? Did you pitch anything that you didn't get to do, or how was that process of okay, you're here 3 months in, you get your first match. Was it all uphill or was it peaks and valleys?
It was just all over the place, honestly. At the time, the company was trying to push me as a heel
Hmm.
at first, but the live audience was reacting to me like a baby face. So it kind of like forced their hand in a way. And I honestly think looking back at it, I don't think they knew what they wanted to do with me. I
Hmm.
know they knew they had someone with charisma and got crowd reactions. And I'm not saying that egotistically. It's just that's just what was happening at the time. And the character was so thought provoking and intriguing and
Hmm.
different to what wrestling's used to. So they were just like all over the place, seeing how it was gonna plan out. But and then I had one match on Level Up in August 2022 where I just got a massive reaction. I came out on a moped and I
Hmm.
got a massive reaction. And I remember afterwards, the head writer at the time told me like, yeah, like you're gonna be on NXT TV next week. Like start thinking of vignettes and all of that. So it kind of really happened really fast.
So how stressful was that, or was that just come natural? You
That
got
was
a
very stressful.
you got a week
That
to
I
go.
was oh man, you got a week to go. My birthday, my debut vignette was aired on my birthday, so
Hmm.
we were filming it the day before my birthday, and then we just started talking about creative ideas. What do I see this character as? And at the time, I was just like, like everybody in NXT, like is either a macho dude
Hmm.
who kills people or a ladies man. I'm like, the character I want to portray can touch so many different people outside of the world of wrestling.
Hmm.
I really feel like I had something there. So we started running with it.
Is that something they got and they understood, or was it a difficult process?
To this day, I don't have the. I really feel like they didn't understand it.
Hmm.
I really feel like, and I'm not saying that in a negative way. I just it's something new.
Hmm.
It had a lot of backlash initially. Certain people didn't like it, certain people loved it, but I think the company just was like, let's run with it. It's different. It's getting attention. So at the time, I guess it was just play it week by week. It felt like
Was there anybody in particular that was supportive of the way you were going?
everyone. I
Hmm.
won't. I won't. There's people that definitely, was like, "Oh, what is this?" or like gave me a
Hmm.
little side eye. But the people that mattered really cared and really pushed me to just go out. One thing that Shawn Michaels and everyone always told me: just go out there and be you.
Hmm.
And if it's too much, we'll pull you back. And if it's too much, we'll pull you back. But give us everything you got. Go out there and be you. And I was like, "Oh, all right, bet, man." Like so it
Sit
was
back
fun.
and watch.
Yeah.
Is there any particular moments that stand out more than others as you were developing your character?
um, One of my favorite. I don't know. I have a lot, but like my debut on NXT
Hmm.
because it was just like at the kid in me was like, wow, this is crazy. Like I'm on NXT. I watched this show,
Hmm.
but hosting Halloween Havoc definitely stands out.
So how did that all come about? What was the process like for that?
Oh man, that was like honestly one of the most stressful times of my life because I was supposed to wrestle on Halloween Havoc, or do something physical, but at the time I got injured.
Hmm.
I got injured and I had a match in October against Zion Quinn of that year, but I got injured because I used to ride a moped. I got injured in an accident,
Hmm.
and I found out I was pretty much hosting like the night before the match or whatever, and I was injured, and I hid it from the company.
Hmm.
In October, I hid it from the company, which wasn't the most mature thing to do. I will not I will admit, but I was like, I'm not gonna. I worked hard for this opportunity. I'm not just gonna throw it away.
Hmm.
So I got injured, and that was a bummer. So, but the exciting part about that is like I got to pretty much like express myself on Halloween Havoc, do different costumes and things,
Hmm.
and it was a fun time, but it was also stressful because I'm like I just want to be able to wrestle and show the world what I can do.
Hmm. And I think a lot of people in that position would have done the same thing you did.
Yeah.
Everybody's fighting for a spot, and you don't want to lose that spot, and then you get hurt, and you're just like, what do I do?
It was very frustrating, and I remember at the time during rehearsals, um, I Zion slammed me, and I like reacted like and then they figured out I was hurt, so I was like, damn, like, but it ended up working out. Everything still ended up working out, but it was just like I knew that if I was able to wrestle on Halloween Havoc or do something physical, maybe show myself off a little more, it
Hmm.
would have been much more fulfilling. But I'm grateful for the opportunity either way.
So after Halloween Havoc, you hosted it and it was a success. Did they put a little more stock into you after that?
Honestly, no. After Halloween Havoc, I had to go have surgery
Hmm.
on my foot, so it's gonna be a couple weeks before I can even get back and do anything. So I was mentally like frustrated with the world, and at the time, you know, 6 weeks on paper right now it doesn't seem like the longest time ever, but when you're
Hmm.
NXT's on the go is running every week, 6 weeks is a long time to not be on television.
Hmm.
So I ended up off of TV for a while for that, and then a bunch of drama went down, and I was just all over the place, just circling, trying to get that momentum that I had back.
So just you were never able to, I guess, recover from being sidelined.
No,
Yeah. So what do you think was your mindset that affected you the most? Was it just losing your spot, or you wanted to get back, or is it just a mixture of things?
a mixture of things because I knew at the time that like, you know, this character's so new,
Hmm.
you know, they they invested a lot of time and energy into me, so I just wanted to make the most of it, and I kind of feel like if I had more of an opportunity to showcase that, it would have been better. But I am grateful for what happened. I got to do way more than I envisioned that I
Hmm.
would ever do in wrestling, but uh, you know it is what it is, really. But I tried my best. I wasn't the most mature, but and at the time I was dealing with a lot, but I tried to make the best of the opportunity. I tried to be coachable, listen, and I got to do some cool things. So I'm not too bitter about it.
Absolutely. So after your recovery, what was next?
So pretty much, at the time, and I guess this is a perfect time to address this. At the time, I was dealing with some Twitter drama that got to the company.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of narratives that were put out there that just necessarily weren't true or taken out of context, really. But as previously, the company already had backlash for this character, so you know, any negativity towards it was already gonna like make them, scratch their heads a little bit. But they tried to just, let me get my head right, keep working, keep training hard, and give me opportunities here and there. But ultimately, I feel like NXT started shifting towards a different, um, I guess you say, energy, and the way they showcase people was like less character driven, and a lot of people that were on TV weren't on TV anymore. And it was just all over the place, really. But I kept working, kept doing the live events. I started pitching new ideas. They were running with me as a heel on the live events and stuff, and it was just kind of like stagnant, just trying to wait for something to happen from January till September when I was released.
Hmm. Now, was this during the time where stuff was changing behind the scenes?
Yeah, it was
What?
changing all the time.
Yeah.
So when I first got there, man, like John Laurinaitis was heavily influenced on NXT, and then it started shifting away because whatever happened, and then it's changed. Just like it felt like it was changing like every 3 months. Like
Hmm.
the way they would want certain things, they would want certain things they wouldn't want. All of a sudden, you could say wrestling on TV. Like you couldn't when I first got there. It was all over the place. So, and it's business at the end of the day.
Before your release, was there anything that they had talked about doing with you or you wanted to do that never came to fruition?
Um, No, the only thing I wanted to do, which I feel like I never got the opportunity to do, was have that match, that
Hmm.
caught people's attention. Because I feel like I one thing that, if I have a regret, and I mean I don't really live with regrets, but if I have a regret, is that I feel like they focus too heavily on making my character weird,
Hmm.
instead of humanizing it a little bit and showing people that I'm a human being and I'm just like everyone else, or like trying to shift towards that, I guess you could say, agenda. But I wish I would have had that match, that banger match that I know I can have, but I wasn't necessarily given that time.
Hmm.
And I appreciate the time I was given, but I wasn't necessarily given that time, that storyline that could show like, okay, I can go.
So, what you wanted to do versus what we got to see, how heavily influenced were they on the character development part?
Really, like that was like their main focus with me,
Hmm.
is because it was an intriguing character. I believe, like, it was very intriguing, and I get that. But like, I'm like, there's other parts of wrestling.
Hmm.
I already had the number. I feel like in my head, I already had the number one thing, the character. I got in the attention of people. So like, once we showed them that, I can actually go, I'm actually a solid pro wrestler. I feel like it would have just made things better. But you know, um, the company is always changing. They're
Hmm.
always moving around. They're always having to change ideas every week. It's pretty chaotic. So I'm not too upset about it, but personally and professionally, I wish I would have had more of that opportunity.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. When your release came, was it something you saw coming or you expected, or was it a shock?
Oh man, I saw it.
Yeah.
I was at the performance center that day, and I was training, and someone came up to me and they're like, "Yo, man, Dolph Ziggler just got released." And as training progressed, he's like, "Mustafa Ali just got released." I'm like, "Mustafa's on the pay per view next month," so I'm like, like, I'm definitely out of here if these guys are getting released. So it was a depressing day. I was
Hmm.
literally at the performance center 30 minutes before I got released, at the gym for my gym session, and I was driving home. It was raining. I'm like, it is what it is. Uh, got the call. They called me. They informed me that I wasn't gonna be there anymore. And it's depressing when you worked your whole life for it, you
Hmm.
know. But at the end of the day, I feel like everything happens for a reason.
I can understand or try to understand the frustration of that time period specifically. There was a lot going on. There was a lot changing. There was you're hot one minute, you're cold the next. This person likes you, this person doesn't. They don't understand. So I kind of understand like where you said there was drama and backlash, and I don't think it's. I think a lot of people would have reacted the same way.
I'm honestly proud of myself because I could have crashed out and just wilded out and said everything and trash people and all of this stuff. But I was just like, I'm gonna just be grateful for the opportunity. Um, it's frustrating, but not everyone can say they lived their childhood dream.
Hmm.
And I got to live my childhood dream for 2 years. So at the end of the day, if you would have told 5-year-old me that I'd be in the room talking about creative ideas with Shawn Michaels, I would have, been all over the place. So like, it is what it is. But I am grateful for the opportunity. I feel in a way I was misunderstood
Hmm.
in certain aspects, and it's just the world of pro wrestling. People are gonna cycle in and cycle out, and I was just one of those people.
Hmm. Besides the Halloween Havoc, was there anything else that was a favorite of yours?
Honestly, one of my favorite moments in NXT for myself personally was not during Halloween Havoc, but after Halloween Havoc.
Hmm.
Um, there was a match with Lash Legend and Shotzi, and I
Hmm.
was just there ringside. And for me, it was just at the time, it was funny because Booker T, his reaction on commentary to the character I was doing was just freaking hilarious to me, and he got a lot of backlash for it at the time. I don't know if he liked me or genuinely hated me, but it is what it is. There, I thought it was funny, but like seeing Booker T react to me, man, that was just freaking like, wow, this is cool.
So how's life been after WWE?
Honestly, it's been a roller coaster, man. It's been a roller coaster. When I first got released, I initially wanted to stay in Florida, stay around my friends.
Hmm.
But then I was like, I gotta grow. I knew if I stayed there, I would be holding on to the past.
Hmm.
So I moved back to California. I've been wrestling here and there. I did a little tour in Europe in February, wrestled down there a little bit. Um, I've been wrestling in Mexico and just trying to get myself mentally right and figure out what I actually want because I got to accomplish this thing that I always wanted to do, and it ended up not being exactly what I wanted or
Hmm.
not going exactly in my favor. So now I'm just and seeing who I am as a person. I still have that passion for pro wrestling in my heart, but I'm not forcing anything. I'm just
Hmm.
going with the flow of things, just getting myself right.
Hmm. If there was another opportunity to return to WWE, is that something you would pursue?
Honestly, I don't know. I would love to do it, but there would have to be some conversations. I
Hmm.
guess you would say there would have to be some conversations because when I started in WWE, I was 22. I was immature. I was not understanding the world I was in. So I would just because I don't. It's not that I'm saying I don't want to go back to WWE. I would love to go back, but I would like to go back knowing feeling a little more secure with myself.
Hmm.
So I would like to go back feeling a little more secure with myself and the respect you know
Yeah, absolutely. If there was anything that you could say to WWE, of how things were versus how you are today, what would that be?
I guess thank you. I'm very thankful. Thank you. Sorry if I caused any negativity for you. Sorry for the headaches or whatever. But thank you. I appreciate it. Like you changed my life. Even if it was just 2 years, that 2 years changed my life. I learned a lot.
Hmm.
I learned tools about pro wrestling that I'll never ever be able to explain, but I'm thankful for, and I'll try to pass that knowledge on as much as I can and keep that knowledge with me. But just thank you, and because WWE is a business, man, and
Hmm.
business is gonna keep moving. It's in the past. It's coming up on a year since I've been released, so I'm learning every day trying to move on.
Do you have any upcoming appearances?
I'm actually dealing with an injury right now,
Hmm.
a little minor injury. You know, life's a roller coaster, man.
Yeah.
So I feel like I don't have the necessarily best luck, but what once I'm healed up and ready to go, I'm gonna start putting a little fire to the flames.
Where can people reach out to you at?
Um, Instagram Quincy Ellie. Uh, if you wanna use me on the show or something, Super Diva Bookings at gmail.com. And I'm actually working on a very cool project right now. It's a musical and film project. And you can follow me at Doofus Scum. That's gonna be my alternative Instagram account, Doofus Scum. And I'm gonna be posting some really cool stuff on there. And show people that I don't just have one trick. I have a bunch of tricks in my bag. So I'm just out here working, man. Life's a journey. I'm out here
Hmm.
working. I'm growing.
Hmm.
Trying to be the best version of myself.
Absolutely. Well, I just want to say thank you for taking some time out today to talk a little bit about your career and what you're doing. Thank you for what you've done for professional wrestling and what you continue to do.
I appreciate you very much, man. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
If there's ever anything I can do, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.